As the Minnesota Vikings and Jim Harbaugh seem to be ready to consummate this marriage, and no, we're not jinxing it. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Like the words of a dumbass, 50K, YouTube, I don't know, personality, ain't going to swing things. Like, that's not how the universe works. But looking ahead, because that's what we do, jump into conclusions. If and when Jim Harbaugh takes the Vikings job this week, you got to look at what assistance he could potentially bring to the Minnesota Vikings. Now, we've already said there's a handful of guys that we would like to see retain. Keenan McCardle, wide receivers coach, Candy Polamalu, running backs coach, Andre Patterson in some capacity, maybe as defense coordinator or a minimum D-line coach, as well as, that's about it. I'm just kidding. Ryan Ficken, yes, go ahead. But who could he bring onto the staff that would make you go, we like. So this is a partial list of coaches who have had overlap with Jim Harbaugh. Now, we left off guys like David Shaw of Stanford, Willie Taggart of Florida Atlantic, as well as who else did we leave off? Oh, Jed Fish of Arizona, because I don't think that they're going to take an assistant job, especially David Shaw, and just leave a college head coaching gig. So that's what that major college head coaching gig. So there you go. But name at the top that everyone wants to talk about, Vic Fangio, where this one makes the most sense. And Fangio had spent some time with John Harbaugh. By the way, the Jim and John Harbaugh coaching tree, there's a lot of intertwining branches. So basically, anyone who's ever been on John's staff in good standing could be in play for Jim's. And vice versa. I mean, Michigan's latest defensive coordinator was on the Ravens, so it's funny, man. But Vic Fangio spent some time with the Ravens, as well as was Harbaugh's defense coordinator his final year in Stanford, as well as all 4 years he was with the Niners. And he's been a great defensive coordinator, was really good as a DC with the Bears. Not Bears. Terrible head coach with the Bears. Well, or with the Broncos. Well, not terrible, just not good. He's very much in the mold of Mike Zimmer, a great defensive coordinator, just simply was not cut out to be a head coach. So he's available. And I think that it would make a lot of sense if Harbaugh does take the Vikings job, that Fangio comes along as defensive coordinator. Hopefully they hang on to Andre Patterson as D-line coach or whatever. Greg Roman is also an interesting name. So he's currently the Ravens offensive coordinator, but it always seems like Greg Roman's like this close to being fired. And maybe John would do his brother Jim a solid, because Greg Roman worked with Harbaugh at Stanford for 2 years, as well as all 4 years with the Niners. Roman was instrumental in creating that Colin Kaepernick offense with the RPO and the pistol, where, I mean, teams just didn't know how to defend a mobile quarterback in that offense for a couple of seasons. Oh, we should also point out, so here's the Harbaugh tenures. 2 years he was Raiders QB coach. That's important. We'll bring that up in a second. 3 years he was head coach of the San Diego Toreros. Woo! Stanford for 4 years, Niners for 4 years, and then Michigan since 2015. So there's that. And then Pep Hamilton. I think that Pep Hamilton, if and when Harbaugh comes along, if they don't get Greg Roman from the Ravens, would make a lot of sense for OC, where he was at Stanford in 2010. He was with Andrew Luck in 2011 after David Shaw took over after Harbaugh left for the Niners. And then Pep Hamilton was at Michigan for 2 years, where he was the Texans passing game coordinator and QB coach this year. He did really great things with Davis Mills, and it would make a lot of sense if Pep Hamilton is elevated to offensive coordinator in a Harbaugh regime. So Bill Callahan, this is the interesting one. So he was the Raiders head coach after John Gruden was traded to the Bucs, and then went to the Super Bowl in 2002 and lost to John Gruden and the Bucs. And then Callahan was one of those guys with the Raiders and Nebraska. He's not a head coach, but what he is one of the best offensive line coaches in the National Football League. And he's doing that right now with the Browns. Of course, crossover with Kwesi, crossover with Harbaugh, because Harbaugh was his quarterback's coach, Rich Gannon, back in the day. Baby, get it on. So I'd say bring that one on, where I don't know if the Browns would necessarily just let him go. Let the one of the best or the best O-line coach in the league go, but we can dream, right? Is there a little bit of compensation? Hey, Kwesi, can we trade one of those 7th round picks for Bill Callahan? Callahan Auto Parts? Go ahead. Wink Martindale, like we mentioned, John Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh, coaching tree intertwined. So he's been with John Harbaugh since 2012. Didn't quite work out at the end. What are you going to do? But is the bloom off the rose with Wink? I don't know. Ed Donatel, 49ers DB coach. So he is still technically the Broncos DC because he went there with Fangio, but he's going to be axed by Nathaniel Hackett once he gets his own staff in place. Also, since we just survived the nepotism of the Zimmers and the Kubiaks, why not bring another one? So Jim Harbaugh has a son named Jay. And he has been with Michigan since 2015. Before that, he spent a couple years on his uncle John's staff with the Ravens, and he's been the Michigan special teams coordinator for the last couple years. Now, I don't necessarily have an issue if the kid is good, but I don't want him being elevated for jobs that he's not qualified for. But from all reports, he's done a decent job with the Wolverines. So I don't think that this is necessarily a Clint or an Adam situation, but still, we can't get away from nepotism. Now, what's been interesting about Harbaugh is that he even though he does have his sort of band of cronies, he picks them up along the way. Where when he came into Stanford, he kept a lot of coaches that were in place. When he came to the Niners, he kept a lot of coaches in place. Same thing with Michigan to a degree. So I respect that Harbaugh can come in and work with lots of people, a wide range of people. And that does give me hope that maybe the Vikings do hang on to a handful of the Vikings' current assistants that I like McCardle or Phil Rauscher, who I forgot to mention earlier, O-line coach, I think did good jobs. Patterson, obviously. So there you go. But with the Niners, handful of guys. So Greg Jackson, currently the Texans safeties coach. Also Jim Leavitt, former South Florida head coach. Jim Tomsula, who of course took over for one season after Harbaugh and did not do good in 2015. Although that mustache is undefeated. John Morton, wide receiver coach, currently a Raiders senior offensive assistant. No, not Johnny Morton, the fun Lions wide receiver from back in the day. John Morton. Tom Rathman. Ooh, I love it, man. I love it. Hey, keep Kenny Polamalu as running backs coach. Have Tom Rathman be fullbacks coach. Let's go. I mean, we got the budget for that. Why not? Also, you have Jeep Christ, who's the Niners QB coach 2011-2014. He's currently Cal's tight ends coach. That would make a lot of sense. So Chris deserves a lot of credit for Alex Smith being pumped up in 2011, as well as the development of early Colin Kaepernick with the Niners under Harbaugh. And then a bunch of notable college coaches that I don't know if the very casual fan will recognize, but Bobby Ingram, current Wisconsin offensive coordinator. We could just steal him from the Badgers. It would be great. Also, DJ Durkin, controversial former Maryland head coach, spent a fistful of years with Harbaugh, currently the Texas A&M DC under Jimbo Fisher. You got Clayton White. You got Scott Schaefer, who's the Middle Tennessee State defensive coordinator. Lance Anderson is out there chilling. He's still David Shaw's DC and assistant to the regional head coach. Tim Drevno, who's been his offensive line coach for 3 different stops. So I don't know, maybe that's not a great sign for Phil Rauscher. Tyrone Wheatley, Chris Partridge, Jim McElwain, former Florida head coach. So there's a lot of really interesting names that are attached to the Jim Harbaugh coaching tree, and I think that a couple of these branches could come in, man. And I think if and when Harbaugh takes a job, I think you can basically bank on Fangio. I mean, what else is he doing? What was he going to do? Catch up on Longmire and Yellowstone? I feel like that's up Fangio's alley. Whatever. Pep Hamilton. I think Pep Hamilton's more likely since Greg Roman does seem like they're going to hang on to him with the Ravens. Although I feel like if Jim asked John for Greg Roman, just because they have so much history, he'd be like, okay. Bring Tyler Huntley with you as well, by the way. Would love to see it. And maybe Bill Callahan, which would be pretty damn sweet. But that's it. That's a list of potential Harbaugh assistants that have had previous ties with him that he could bring to the Vikings, again, if he gets a job. Let us know in the comments section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.